Well, greetings to each of you, and welcome to the Shakedown, a podcast about corrections, for corrections, and by corrections. I am your host, Aaron Dawson. Good to be with you on yet another episode of the Shakedown as we keep fighting the good fight, keep pushing forward, keep growing, keep sharpening our skills so that we can fulfill the task before us in a professional and an excellent manner. Glad you're back with us this week. Before we jump into the topic this week, I want to mention, I mentioned it a few weeks ago, but I want to mention again the new training course that NIJO has released, Conflict Management Techniques. You may hear that phrase and think, I took de-escalation, or I took crisis intervention. I understand that. I got that box checked. I got that certificate in my training folder. I am good. Wrong. I have over the years taught, I've written, and participated in numerous courses on those topics. And when I had the opportunity to review conflict management techniques, I was soundly impressed with the depth, the comprehensiveness, and the practicality that is put into that course. That course is written by Dr. Steve Sampson, and any of you that have participated in any jail cons, you're familiar with Dr. Sampson. Not only is he a fun person to be around and an awesome instructor to listen to, but he's really good at what he does, and he knows his stuff. And so he has written this course for NIJO, and it is quality stuff. So if you're interested in getting some information about conflict management techniques, or maybe you're interested in participating in a training, or you want to host a training, or whatever the case may be, you can email training@jailtraining.org. That is training@jailtraining.org. Request some information and get some information on that. I guarantee you will not be disappointed. You will not be sorry. But I'd like to pick up, guys, kind of when we left off last week, and I want to kind of give you an idea of the impetus or the underlying meaning or the purpose behind this series that I really want to go through and dig into with you guys. And I've noticed as I watch what's going on in the culture around us, as I've worked alongside of some folks and seen some folks come in that man, they were on fire. They're all about being in law enforcement. They're all about being in corrections. They're all about being the police. They're all about growing it. Man, this is the career. This is what I've always wanted to do, so forth and so on. And then 2 months later, they're gone. And you think, wait a minute, what the heck happened between, man, this is what I've always wanted to do and I want to do the rest of my life, to, yeah, I'm out. And I can't help but think, guys, that part of the reason that there's such a high turnover rate in this career field is that there's so many people that don't have some foundational questions answered. And without those foundational questions being answered, we are going to struggle to stick to it, to stay with it, to push, to make that effort, to get us over the top and to make us successful. And so that's the point of this series, is to consider some of these foundational questions so that we can make sure that we have the tools that we need so that we can push, that we can be successful for the long term as well. And so we talked last week about establishing and understanding our purpose, our why behind the what, if you will. We talked about how finding that why, it gives us some motivation. It gives us some drive to say, that whatever it is that my purpose is, that maybe you're in this career field because you needed a steady and consistent job. You needed a steady income to provide for your family. Maybe it's you wanted to serve, or maybe make a difference, or be a part of something bigger, or grow and succeed in a career, whatever the case may be. But that gives you that motivation to keep pushing, to keep striving, because you don't want to be a failure. We said that it gives us a focus, that we, when things happen and there's distractions, then we can focus on what it is that our purpose is. It gives us a map to where we can say, all right, this is where I am, this is where I want to get, this is where I want to be. All right, how do I need to get there? What steps do I need to take to get there? And then it gives us a set of goals that we can work towards that ultimate purpose. We can work towards that ultimate goal, and it gives us smaller goals along the way that we can measure our progress and kind of drives us. So once we establish that, once we establish our why, once we establish our purpose, we want to identify, secondly, we want to identify our ideology. Now, ideology is a word that we hear all over the place in the news, and really all ideology is, at its base definition, is ideology is the science of ideas. You think, well, man, that was deep and profound. Yeah, I know they thought long and hard about that one. But anyway, that's what ideology is. And basically, an ideology is the framework that we use to decide how and what we need to do. When I look at an event, when I look at a piece of information, when I look at a set of circumstances, my ideology is that framework that I use to process that information, decide, all right, what do I need to do in response to what it is that I'm seeing or what it is that I'm experiencing. In corrections, you could say it's the lens that we view the world through. Our ideology is the lens that we view the world through. It's the framework that we start with when we look at whatever it is that we're looking at. And so to kind of demonstrate that, I got some questions I want us to consider that kind of help us figure out what our ideology is. Questions like, in our view, are inmates failures or are they people who have failed? That's a big difference. Are they failures or are they people who have failed? In our view, are inmates worthless beings or are they people to be invested in? Are our facilities simply glorified daycares or zoos? Or are they a place of opportunity to change if somebody wants to make a change? Is our job to do as little as humanly possible or we can get away with? Or is it a place to be proactive and to set a tone for those around us? Do we hold the inmates to one standard and ourselves to another standard? Do we open interactions with other people with aggression and hostility or with calm confidence? Do we demand that the inmates to abide by expectations that we don't communicate to them? Our ideology matters because it determines our expectations. Let me break it down even a little bit further. If my view is that all inmates are just failures, just as they exist right there, they're in my facility, they're in your facility, because they're in your facility, because they're an inmate, they are a failure. You know what my expectation for them is? I expect them to fail. I expect them to be a failure. So when I talk to them, when I converse with them, when I interact with them, I'm already annoyed when I get there because this is a failure. Whereas if I view them as a person who has failed, they're not defined by their failures, though obviously there has been some, otherwise they wouldn't be here, more than likely. But they're not defined by that failure. So there is the potential there within that individual to not fail. So when I come, is my expectation that it's just going to be more of the same, it's just going to be a failure, or is the possibility there? If I view them as worthless beings rather than people to be invested in, anything I do for them or with them or to assist them outside of what is convenient for me is wasted if they're worthless. However, if they're people to be invested in, I'm planting seeds that may not produce any fruit, but it might produce fruit. If I view my facility, your facility, as simply, it's just a daycare center, it's just a zoo, it's just a place where I'm just keeping these people so hopefully they don't do anything stupid or something ridiculous that I'm going to have to deal with. If I view that, if that's how I view our facilities, then I'm going to have a negative outlook. Anything that takes place is a disturbance, is a distraction, is an annoyance. But if I view the facility as a place of opportunity to change, then I'm looking for them to make that change. My expectation is, hey, you've been given an opportunity. What are you going to do with it? If I view my job as simply doing as little as humanly possible or as little as I can get away with, Anytime I actually have to do something, I'm going to be annoyed. I'm going to be frustrated. My mindset's not going to be in the right place. My vision's not going to be in the right place. My situational awareness is going to be garbage. I'm going to be miserable the entire time. I'm going to be counting down the clock every shift, every day, every week. Just get me through this. This is awful. But if I view my job to be proactive and to set a tone, then I come in with the mindset, this is the environment I want to create. So I'm going to do X, Y, and Z to create that environment. And so my expectation is I want to create an environment, not react to whatever just falls on the floor in front of me. If my ideology, if my framework is that we're all held to the same standard, if an inmate could be wrote up for speaking disrespectfully to an officer, I shouldn't speak disrespectfully to an inmate. If an inmate would be written up or disciplined for threatening an officer, I don't need to threaten an inmate. That demonstrates a lack of integrity, a lack of character. And so my ideology and my framework needs to be such so that I give off, I put out that I'm a person of character. If I open interactions with aggression and hostility, I'm telling everybody, I hate you, you're garbage, I don't want anything to do with you. And if you want to fight with me, that's fine. But if I put out calm confidence, that I'm demonstrating that I am in control of myself, I'm in control of this set of circumstances, and we got this. If I demand that people meet and abide by expectations that I don't care enough to communicate to them, what I'm saying is you're probably too stupid to understand what I want anyway, and it'd be a waste of my time because you're probably going to fail. But if I communicate to them and I say, hey guys, here's the deal. Here's what I expect. If you meet my expectations, here's the benefits. If you don't comply, here's the consequences. They know what to expect. We're a person of our word. And everything flows along a whole lot smoother. Our ideology matters because it determines our expectations. And guys, our expectations matter because they determine life satisfaction. It's a proven fact that positive emotion is a result of meeting expectations, of setting goals, of saying, this is where I am, this is where I want to go, and I'm making progress towards my goal. I'm making progress. I'm checking stuff off. I'm accomplishing goals. That's where positive emotion comes from. Our expectation says, this is where I'm headed, and this is where I'm going to get. That brings life satisfaction. And guys, I'm going to throw out an earth-shattering statement. Y'all ready for this? In my opinion, we should want to find satisfaction in what we do. I know it's shocking. I know a lot of folks, and you probably know some, man, it's like they think that you're supposed to be miserable. If you're in corrections, you're supposed to be Eeyore, walking around all day. Oh, hello, Pooh. Today's just a terrible day. But in my opinion, we should want to find satisfaction in what we do. If our ideology is of a certain bent, if you will, we're either going to find that we're struggling every step of the way, or we're going to find that regardless of what comes down the pike, regardless of what confronts us, regardless of what we find ourselves facing, we're still making forward progress. And the more forward progress we make, the more positive emotion that we have. So guys, last week we talked about what's your why? What's your purpose? What is it that drives you to put your boots on every day, get that uniform on, and go hit the floor? What is it that drives you? Well, this week, let's consider and let's ask ourselves, all right, what's my framework? What's my ideology? When I look at these inmates, when I look at my fellow officers, if I'm a supervisor, when I look at my employees, what's the lens that I'm looking through? Are these people all failures? Are these people all irritations? When I look at my job, when I look at this facility, am I looking through a negative lens? Because if that's the case, I'm not going to find that life satisfaction. But guys, if we're going to push on, if we're going to make it, we have to have a foundation of understanding why we do what we do and understanding how it is that we do what we do. What's our ideology? What's our framework? What are our expectations? Guys, we get those in line, we headed the right direction. Well, guys, we're out of time for today, so I need to wrap this up. But I hope, guys, the topic last week, topic this week, and I hope it gets you to thinking. And if you've got some questions or comments or things you want to shoot to me about this, you can email me at shakedown@jailtraining.org. It's the shakedown@jailtraining.org, and I'd love to hear from y'all and hear your thoughts on what we're talking about. Don't forget, JailCon's coming up. My plan is, as of now, to the best of my knowledge, I'm supposed to be at all 3 JailCons. So if you can make it to one of those, it'd be awesome to see you there, interact with you. But until the next time, guys, stay sharp, stay safe, stay vigilant. Godspeed.